President-elect Donald Trump continues to fill his cabinet. Updates on that coming up.
And today is Cyber Monday. All the latest deals next. Hello, and thank you for joining us this Monday morning. I'm Portia Brown.
And I'm Dana White. News Central 34 starts now.
Now in high definition, Mount Pleasant's own News Central 34 Morning Edition.
The city of Mount Pleasant has surpassed its $50,000 crowdfunding campaign for Timbertown. With help from community members and businesses, Timbertown 2.0 will be placed on Island Park by May of next year. Administered through the crowd grant organization Patronicity, donations made during the 45-day fundraiser totaled over $100,000.
The Department of Art and Design sponsors an event tonight called Untotal Recall. At the event, graphic design faculty Alexander Negrelli will talk about his work and interests. Topics include digital food, zombies, CGI, and the idea of realism. The event starts at 5 p.m. in Whiteman 142, and it is free and open to the public.
Mount Pleasant City Commission will hold a meeting tonight at City Hall. The meeting is open to the public and will begin at 7 p.m. Communication from a city resident regarding a request for City Commission support in signing an open letter to Congress and state lawmakers calling for action to address climate change.
President-elect Donald Trump is back in New York where he'll continue to work on filling his cabinet. He's also keeping an eye on election recount efforts. Hannah Daniels has the latest from New York.
President-elect Donald Trump is slamming election recount efforts as a scam and says voter fraud kept him from winning the popular vote. Tweeting, in addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally. Wisconsin state election officials will meet today to go over a possible timeline for a recount of the state's presidential election, where Donald Trump won by a narrow 27,000 votes. The president-elect's incoming chief of staff is calling the effort ridiculous.
The group of people that thought that they were nervous about President-elect Trump not conceding are the people that are conducting recounts in states where we've won by over 68,000 votes. I think the American people know this is a waste of everyone's time and money.
Donald Trump continues to interview candidates to fill key cabinet roles that Trump power. Meanwhile, his transition team's debate over Mitt Romney assuming the role of Secretary of State spilled onto the Sunday morning talk shows.
People feel betrayed to think that Governor Romney, who went out of his way to question the character and the intellect and the integrity of Donald Trump, now our president-elect, would be given the most significant cabinet post of all, Secretary of State.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani has also been named as a frontrunner for the position. Hannah Daniels, CBS News.
Over the weekend, Hillary Clinton's campaign joined the Wisconsin recount effort started by Green Party candidate Jill Stein. Stein is also pushing for recounts in Pennsylvania and Michigan.
Former Cuban dictator Fidel Castro died this weekend after battling illness for years, and Cuba is in mourning. Scott McLean is in Havana with the latest.
In a few hours from now, a 21-gun salute will pay respect to Fidel Castro, and that is just the beginning. 9 days of official mourning have been declared here, a nod to the massive impact that Fidel Castro had on Cuba and also the tens of thousands of Cubans who've been forced to leave.
Tyrant, dictator, revolutionary. Fidel Castro was many things to many people. The 90-year-old former Cuban president died over the weekend, leaving his country, at least officially, in mourning. Castro hadn't held power since 2008 when sickness forced him to transfer power to his brother Raul. But his passing undoubtedly marks the end of an important chapter in Cuban history and leaves many Cubans wondering what might change without the man who led the nation's revolution.
He was a symbol, and now this symbol is gone.
Many Cuban exiles in Miami cheered Fidel Castro's death, so many whose families were forever separated. They hope it leads to a brighter future on the island.
We are celebrating the future freedom of Cuba because we believe that after this moment, many things are going to change in Cuba.
But in Havana, no one is celebrating. On Saturday, students at the University of Havana, where Castro once studied, chanted, "I am Fidel," to honor his death.
He was not only an example to Cuba, he was an example to America Latina, and I believe that he was an example to the entire world.
Castro was cremated on Saturday. Mourners will have a chance to view his ashes for 2 days before they're taken east to Santiago de Cuba, where his funeral and burial will take place.
And during this mourning period, there's to officially be no liquor sales, no music, no baseball games. Even dissidents are toning it down. The Ladies in White is a well-known protest group. They've canceled their weekly protests this week out of respect for those in mourning and not to provoke the authorities. In Havana, I'm Scott McLean.
Bracing for winter, the protesters at Ascari Camp near Cannonball are not moving despite Army Corps' Friday decision. Some are native North Dakotans saying they're prepared for the worst. Cynthia Hill reports.
This is North Dakota. Expect snow.
The Army Corps' decision to request a voluntary eviction has caused the camp to beef up in numbers, now reminiscent when thousands occupied the camp in September. Dakota Cater is from Fort Yates and says she'll be visiting the camp despite the cold.
Us as people of this land, we're North Dakotans, our campers, our people here, I'm sure we're strong enough to weather through.
A small action or protest was led by the women of the camp Sunday evening. Hundreds walked toward the barrier on 1806, met by a few law enforcement officers and barbed wire protecting pipeline construction equipment. Joy Braun says the decision doesn't mean much to protesters because of government treaties with native tribes aging back to the 1800s. She says the weather's not a big deal either.
Pretty presumptuous for the Army Corps of Engineers to assume that they can evict us off of our own land.
Protesters say despite the Army Corps' call for self-removal, they're not going anywhere, rain or snow.
I'm looking forward to the snow. I'm looking forward to a good old-fashioned North Dakota blizzard.
Protesters are preparing to stand their ground December 5th.
Amazon is in full force on this Cyber Monday. The online retailer will roll out more than 75,000 sales starting today. The deals will continue throughout the week on a variety of products, including toys, electronics, video games, and books. Electronics tend to be big sellers on Cyber Monday, but Amazon says so far this season, the most watched deal has been the mermaid tail blanket. On another note, if you're looking for travel deals, you may want to log in today. Experts say slow summer travel sales should result in big airfare and hotel deals. Some may even last through the first week of December. Trips to the Caribbean and Europe are expected to come quite cheap.
'Tis the season to turn up the heat, and for lots of families, that means firing up the chimney. But it also means local fire departments are seeing more chimney fires. Chris Gothner has more on how you can prevent them.
There's nothing quite like sitting by a nice warm fire. But a fire in a fireplace can quickly become something more if you're not careful.
I think the most important thing is don't overfire the fireplace. And don't have raging inferno in there. It's not going to do you any good.
Greg Rotek with Hansen & Sons, a Madison chimney sweep, also says the type of wood you use makes a difference.
I would say use well-seasoned wood. You want to use hardwoods. Go oak all the way. Oak or hickory is pretty good, but oak is nice seasoned oak and you can't go wrong.
Ed Ruckriegel, Madison's fire marshal, says chimneys are generally safe, but keeping them maintained is important.
Yeah, if you've never had a fireplace before, I would really suggest you get like a chimney sweep. Somebody to come out and talk to you about, how do you use it, how you maintain it, how you operate it even.
Ruckriegel says make sure any chimney sweep is licensed, bonded, and insured, as well as following codes. When it comes to out-of-control fires, he says tools like thermal imaging devices help firefighters, but they're typically difficult to fight.
They're into concealed spaces. They're hard to find. And unfortunately for the homeowner, when the firefighters are out rooting around trying to find that fire, they're removing drywall, they're removing ceilings.
Ultimately, Ruckriegel says prevention is key. In Madison, Chris Gothner, WISC News 3.
Chimneys and fireplaces are blamed for more than 20,000 fires annually nationwide.
And meteorologist Blake Hansen joins us now with a look at this forecast we have this Monday.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of some rainy, soggy weather this morning, but we're going to dry out for a little bit, but then I'm sorry guys, it's going to come right back later tonight, so we'll have all those details of the soggy forecast on the other side of the break.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Donate stuff, create jobs.
Get caught buzzed driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom. It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hey, did you know that 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Go to theshelterpetproject.org and search your local shelters and rescues. Go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
Welcome back on this soggy Monday morning, and we're going to start off with severe weather down south. We don't really think about severe weather this time of year, but this is the case, especially for today, for areas like southern Arkansas, northern Louisiana, and a good chunk of Mississippi, and they're under enhanced risk from the National Weather Service. Today, this enhanced risk includes some heavy rain, definitely damaging winds, and yes, even a few tornadoes. So we got to keep a good lookout, especially for this area as we head towards the later portions of today. In our neck of the woods, we're just going to see some general thunder and lightning, especially as you head towards the west side of the state, and we'll get to that as we look in Futurecast in just a second. Satellite radar over the last 3 hours, we saw a good line of storms moving, at least some showers into the lower peninsula, but those were quick to dissipate as we're under some dry air. And as we take a closer look, you can see how in the Mount Pleasant area, we saw that little line of showers move through around 6, 7 this morning, and then finally we're out of here around the 10 o'clock hour. We're just left with a few sprinkles by the Midland and Saginaw Bay area. Futurecast, though, we're going to see a dry period for around a few hours, but once we get past sunset tonight around 5 o'clock or so, I think that's when we'll see that rain really move through. Look at the entire lower peninsula under some rain, and look at off towards the west side of the state, those yellows and oranges. That's where we could see more thunder and lightning in those areas. Temperature-wise, though, we're going to be in the mid-40s, but as we head through tonight with the rain and a nice southerly wind, we're not going to decrease in temperature tonight. In fact, we might even increase a degree or two, especially as we head through the overnight period. Day planner, though, we're going to be in the mid-40s, some cloudy skies for the daylight period, but as we head past sunset, that's when we'll see those showers and even some rumbles of thunder move into the area. Tonight, periods of rain, even heavy rains at time. Winds will be anywhere between 10 to 20 miles per hour. Gust will be upwards of 30. Notice we're at 44 degrees for a low tonight, but that's going to be on the increase, especially through the overnight. And then our 7-day forecast, Tuesday is going to be the best day the next 7 days. 56 and sunny, and then we'll be cooling down throughout the rest of the week. So it's time of year in November. We're going to see temperatures, up and down, and then we're finally getting back, where we're supposed to be this time of year.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And that's all we have for you this morning. For Blake Hansen on weather, I'm Dana White.
And I'm Portia Brown. We'll see you at 5.